Most people think that graphic design is all about the tools like Adobe Photoshop, Illustrator, Figma, so on and so forth. I'm here to say that that isn't true at all. Hello, I'm Abdurrahman Manning. I'm a graphic designer. I've been designing for around 5 years, mainly working in startups and doing freelance work. And today in this video, I'm going to tell you a few things that people don't really tell you when getting started in your graphic design career. First thing is that graphic design isn't about the tools. When I first got started, I thought the more tools I learned, the better I'll become. If I learned the whole Adobe Creative Suite, Figma, Sketch, and all the popular tools, now I'll be better at graphic design. But as time went by, I realized it was actually less about the tools. It's less about the tool and more about the implementation of the design principles, hierarchy, spacing, and contrast, and things like that. And those principles are able to be implemented in any tool. Any tool can make a good design. More about the designer and the thinking while you're designing. The next is that your first designs will be bad. That's normal. Every designer's gone through that. And in fact, anyone who gets started in a field goes through that. But as a designer, when you first get started, your designs will be bad. And a couple of years later, you'll look back at them and you'll see thousands of ways that you can improve them, implementing design principles and other things that you've learned along the way, or even just tweaking the colors a little and font size and all of that. Just these really simple ways to make your design look much better, but not being up to par as a beginner is normal. Everyone goes through that. What matters is that you just don't stop and you like keep learning more, keep looking for inspiration. That really helps with improving your designs. And and if you stick at it a couple of years later, you will look back at your old designs and you will notice how bad they are and you'll just laugh about it really and truly. You might even revamp them. And the next thing is that clients don't actually care about the way the design looks. Now, this can change the way you approach design. That's fine because it's best for you to acknowledge this, that clients don't really care about the way the design looks. They only care about the results. Things like, does this design bring customers? Does this design incite trust? And most of all, does this website or this logo bring to my brand? Does it make money? Because in the end of the day, design isn't actually about making things look good. It's more about problem solving. So clients will come to graphic designers with problem, their logo doesn't represent their brand properly, or they need marketing content. And the design that you hand off to them has to solve that problem, has to make their brand look trustworthy, has to bring in customers, the logo has to represent, the colors have to portray the right message. But of course, as designers, we still want to make the design look good, and that's fine because you can make your design look visually appealing while solving the client's problems. But their main focus is the results. The next thing is that less is more, which is actually one of my favorite principles when it comes to design. Because as a beginner designer, you tend to think you should add more to your design to make it look more glamorous, more fonts, more effects, more colors. But it doesn't have to be minimalistic. It could be any type of design, brutalism or anything. But less is more will always stand because it's about revamping and redesigning and redirecting until the only things that are left on the design is what actually matters. Going back to my last point, is about problem solving. You don't want unneeded extra things in your designs. You only want the things that really matter and the things that get the point across. And the next thing is that design is actually a business skill. It's not just an artistic pursuit. For example, everything around you is design. Every product you buy, every website you visit, it's all a part of design. A good branding equals a trustworthy brand or trustworthy company. Good website increases conversion. And even in other categories where it's not about making money, the design matters most because it's the only thing that directly reflects onto the company. And next is the feeling that you're not good enough. Every designer goes through that, and most people go through that especially in creative field. And that feeling never really goes away. The more experience you get, you start to have systems in place for your design process, and it makes you feel more comfortable. But even then, there will be times where you finish a design, you look back at it, and maybe you start to feel like you're not good enough, or the design isn't good enough. Maybe that's just a feeling that you have to kind of get used to and learn how to overcome. As a designer, tend to spend a lot of time looking at for inspiration on places like Pinterest. So you see a lot of designs. Maybe when you're designing, you start to do a comparison to things that you see on the internet. But every design has a different purpose, and every designer has a different style and way of going about their designs. So I don't really think there's any need for a comparison, really and truly. But that feeling may still be there, and you just have to know when it's true and when it's not, when you have to up your game and when you just have to be satisfied. You can't always be a perfectionist. And the next thing is that it will take time to become a professional designer, you know. Good things take time. Some people start designing for a few months and maybe they're not getting any clients, we're not getting any work, and maybe the designs aren't even that good. That's just the process. So it will take time to become a professional designer, a pro designer, especially like if you're looking to be, I don't know, a full-time freelancer and things like that. But the truth of the matter is, good things do take time. So you really just have to stick at it, and eventually you will see the fruits of your labor. Before I tell you the last point, don't forget to like this video, comment on this video if you're going through any of these problems and how you're going about them. And if you want to see another point from me, then or you can also comment that and subscribe and press that bell because I'll be posting more videos and you're not going to want to miss them. The last point is that you'll always be a student. Even after years, you're always going to come across something that you never learned or you never knew, whether it's a new style of design, a new trend, or just a new way of implementing, one of the design principles. The point is you're always going to come across something you never knew. And that's actually enjoyable for me. It's what makes design interesting for me. I like coming across new things to learn and learning them. But what's best is when I actually able to implement something that I couldn't implement, 2 years ago or a couple months ago. And like now it's just like a part of my system. I enjoy that. For me, that's what makes graphic design one of the most interesting industries. So if you're going through any of these trials, that's completely normal. Every beginner designer has gone through it. You're not alone. Like I said, my name's Abdurrahman Manning, and I'm going to be teaching you from now on how to get through your design career. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that bell to be notified for my new videos. And leave a comment. I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say.